social media superstar, the renowned content creator, the serial risk taker, and undefeated fighter, introducing the problem child, Jake Paul!
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
That's all good. You're doing really good. All right.
Before the fight was the early rounds could be decisive, and it is quite clear.
Leyenda continúa. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Overall, Jake, how'd you feel in there?
I just felt flat, man. Not my best performance. I guess that happens in the sport. You know, you gotta peak right at the right moment. You only get one night, one chance, and I messed that up, I guess. But didn't think I'd ever have to make one of these videos, but it happens, I guess. This is still the best job in the world. Thank you all for the support. This was an amazing event, and I'll be back. No worries, guys.
I feel, Jake, I know there was a lot of talk about him and his power. You took the shots pretty well. And you
yeah, no, his power wasn't that crazy. He just had good speed, good combinations, yeah. But Anderson and Tyron hit really hard, so I was used to that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Boxing, man. You got to take it on the chin, but it was good. Some good moments in there. I just really couldn't get my game plan working. But hey, man, this is what the sport's all about. You win some in glorious fashion, and you lose some. And like I said out there, judge me about my losses because I'll be back. You know, I think he was just really well prepared, and I think it was more so.
If Jake Paul were truly a good boxer, then everyone else on this stage would be a legend, said Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. bluntly at the final press conference. I don't think he's a good boxer, and everybody knows that. But in a strange way, that may be exactly what makes Chavez Jr. the perfect opponent for Paul's latest boxing showcase. Jake Paul has built a reputation and a multi-million-dollar empire by defeating aging fighters past their prime. His journey started with a knockout win over fellow influencer Essen Gibb, followed by a viral KO of retired NBA player Nate Robinson. He then moved on to ex-UFC stars Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, twice, and Anderson Silva, all combat sports names, but none of them career boxers. Paul's first true test came in a split decision loss to Tommy Fury, a professional boxer from a family of champions. After that, Paul rebounded by returning to familiar territory, defeating former UFC fan favorite Nate Diaz. Attempting to gain more credibility, Paul tried stepping into the traditional boxing lane by fighting Andre August and Ryan Borland, both low-level professional boxers. He won both by early stoppage, but the fights generated minimal buzz. The public simply wasn't interested in unknown club fighters, no matter the outcome. So, Paul returned to a more familiar formula. Name recognition over resume. He stopped bare-knuckle fighter Mike Perry before taking on Mike Tyson in a crossover mega fight. Though the event generated major box office numbers, the bout itself was criticized for being dull, with Paul cautiously outboxing a 58-year-old Tyson, appearing reluctant to inflict serious damage on the legendary icon. Now, Paul faces Chavez Jr., a man with legitimate boxing experience and a recognizable name. but also someone who perfectly fits the mold of a typical Paul opponent. Past his prime and physically undersized for a cruiserweight clash. He's a great fighter. I like big names, legendary names, and he's on my path to a world championship, Paul said at the final press conference. This is a tough test, a very tough test. But I'm here to challenge myself, to do big things in this sport, and then make a title run after I beat him on Saturday. To Paul's credit, he came close to landing a massive bout with Canelo Alvarez before it was revealed that Canelo was using negotiations as leverage for his eventual 3-fight deal with Riyadh Season. Now, we're back to the classic Paul fight model, except this time, there may be more risk. Despite being long past his peak, Chavez Jr. is still a lifelong boxer with Rio ring experience. For more updates, highlights, and analysis from the world of boxing, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, peace. With the highly anticipated showdown between Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. just days away, DAZN Boxing has turned up the hype with an exclusive feature including direct interviews and expert predictions. And surprisingly, many are leaning toward the YouTuber-turned-boxer. One of Jake Paul's most vocal supporters is rising UFC star Arman Tsarukyan. Fascinated by Paul's rapid rise in the sport, Tsarukyan praised the 28-year-old's discipline and natural talent. Jake is a legend because to start boxing so late and show good boxing is not easy, he said. What impressed Tsarukyan the most wasn't just Paul's power, but his surprising speed and agility for his size. I'm surprised how big he is. He's so big and hits so hard, but he moves like a real boxer, he added, confidently stating that Paul looks ready and will walk away with the win this weekend. Statistically, Jake Paul enters the bout as the underdog, facing a former world champion in Chavez Jr. However, recent performances by the Mexican fighter have raised questions about his conditioning and commitment to the sport. While he once carried the potential to follow in the footsteps of his legendary father, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., his career has been marred by inconsistency, controversy, and unfulfilled promise. Jake Paul, on the other hand, has steadily built his boxing resume, most recently earning a win over 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Though critics downplay that victory due to Tyson's age, Paul continues to prove his seriousness inside the ring, training with elite coaches and facing progressively tougher opponents. Adding fuel to the conversation, another combat sports icon, Oscar de la Hoya, recently shared a shocking prediction that has stirred up the boxing community. The 6th Division world champion and current head of Golden Boy Promotions revealed his picks for the full June 28th card, and he didn't hold back on showmanship. In true Golden Boy fashion, De La Hoya made his predictions while wearing nothing but a robe, which he later removed, and his underwear, declaring confidently, "It's fight week, Jake Paul vs. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm going to give you my predictions, Golden Boy style, baby." On the undercard, De La Hoya picked Raul Curiel, Floyd Schofield, and Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, all Golden Boy fighters, to win their bouts. But the biggest surprise came when predicting the main event. De La Hoya picked Jake Paul to defeat Chavez Jr. by split decision after 12 competitive rounds. As the boxing world prepares for Saturday's spectacle, opinions remain split. Chavez Jr. dismissed Paul as a not good fighter during the final press conference, questioning his abilities despite acknowledging his dedication. Still, with rising stars and legends alike backing Paul, and considering Chavez Jr.'s history of letdowns, many believe this could be another major moment in Jake Paul's ongoing boxing experiment.